Montana Territory, winter of 1883. There are places in this world where God stops paying attention. The Rocky Mountains in February is one of them. Elijah Thorne had lived alone in these mountains for 6 years. 6 years of silence. 6 years of punishing himself for the worst mistake of his life. The night he kicked open a door and started shooting, only to realize it wasn't the murderer inside. It was a mother and her little girl. He came to these mountains to die. The land just hadn't killed him yet. Then he heard 3 gunshots echo through the blizzard. The universal signal. Someone is dying. Please help. His first instinct? Keep walking, not his problem. But when he found her, a 6-year-old girl buried in snow, green eyes frozen with terror, she whispered 5 words that shattered everything. Please don't hurt me. I can't run away. The same words that little girl said 6 years ago, before he pulled the trigger. Now 20 armed men are coming for this child. And the ghost who swore he'd never kill again has to decide what he's willing to become to save her. This story reminds us that redemption isn't about erasing the past. It's about choosing differently when the moment comes again. That even the most broken souls can find purpose when they stop running from their guilt and start running towards something worth protecting. If you believe in second chances, or if you've ever carried guilt that felt too heavy to survive, this story is for you. Drop A in the comments if you're staying for the whole journey. Share this with someone who needs to know it's never too late to choose differently. And if you want more stories about flawed heroes finding their way back to the light, subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll see you on the mountain, Montana Territory, winter of 1883. There are places in this world where God stops paying attention. The Rocky Mountains in February is one of them. Elijah Thorne had lived in these mountains for 6 years. 6 years of silence, 6 years of snow and solitude and the kind of quiet that makes a man forget the sound of his own voice. He preferred it that way. The world below had nothing left for him, nothing but memories that cut deeper than any knife. He was 38 years old and looked 50. His hair had gone gray at the temples. A long scar ran down his left cheek, a souvenir from a life he no longer lived. His eyes were the color of storm clouds, and just as cold. The cabin he called home sat halfway up a ridge where the wind could not find it, and civilization could not remember it. He had built it himself, log by log, nail by nail. It was small. It was solid. It was his tomb. On this particular morning, Eli was checking his trap lines when the storm rolled in. It came fast, the way mountain storms do. One moment the sky was gray. The next moment it was white. Snow fell so thick he could barely see his own hands. He turned back toward the cabin. He had survived enough winters to know when to fight and when to retreat. This was a retreat kind of day. That is when he heard the gunshots. 3 of them, spaced evenly apart. Bang. Pause. Bang. Pause. Bang. Eli stopped walking. He knew that pattern. Every man who lived in these mountains knew that pattern. 3 shots meant help. 3 shots meant someone was dying. His first instinct was to keep walking. Not his problem, not his business. He had learned long ago that helping people only led to pain. He had the scars to prove it, some on his body, most on his soul. He took another step toward the cabin, then another. Then he stopped. The snow was falling harder now. Whoever fired those shots would be dead by morning, frozen solid like a statue. That was just the way of things out here. The mountain did not care about good intentions or desperate prayers. The mountain only cared about the cold. Eli stood there for a long moment. The wind screamed around him. The snow bit at his face. He thought about the warm fire waiting in his cabin. He thought about the bottle of whiskey on his shelf. He thought about silence and solitude, and the sweet numbness of not caring about anything anymore. Then he cursed under his breath and turned east toward the gunshots. He found the horse first. a chestnut mare lying on her side, half buried in snow. She was dead, had been for at least an hour. Her eyes were frozen open, staring at nothing. Beside the horse, Eli saw tracks, small ones, too small for an adult. One set of prints was normal. The other was strange, dragging, uneven, like someone was limping, or like someone could not walk properly. A child, out here, in this storm. Eli followed the tracks. They led north, away from any trail, away from any hope of shelter. Whoever this child was, they were walking straight into the heart of the blizzard. He found her 20 minutes later. She was lying under a pine tree, curled into a ball so tight she looked like a bundle of rags. Her dress was torn. Her hair was matted with ice. Her lips were blue. Her skin was the color of old snow. She could not have been more than 6 years old. Eli dropped to his knees beside her. He pulled off his glove and touched her cheek. Cold. So cold, but not frozen. Not yet. The girl's eyes snapped open. They were green, bright green, the only color in this world of white. And they were terrified. She tried to crawl backward, tried to escape, but her body would not cooperate. She was too weak, too cold, too everything. "Please," she whispered. Her voice was barely louder than the wind. "Please do not hurt me. I cannot walk. I cannot run away." The words hit Eli like a fist to the chest. He had heard fear before. He had caused fear before, but this was different. This was not the fear of a child seeing a stranger. This was the fear of a child who had been hurt by strangers, who expected pain from every hand that reached toward her. "Easy," Eli said. His voice came out rough. He had not spoken to another person in months. "I am not going to hurt you." The girl did not believe him. Her tiny hands pushed against his chest, weak, futile, but determined. "Please," she said again. "Please." Eli made a decision then, the same way he had made decisions in his old life. Fast, final, without room for doubt. He scooped the girl into his arms. She weighed nothing, less than nothing. He could feel her ribs through her dress. When was the last time this child had eaten? She fought him, or tried to. She twisted and pushed and whimpered, but she was too weak to do anything more than that. Eli wrapped his coat around her. The coat was made from bear hide. It was the warmest thing he owned. He pulled it tight around her small body and started walking. The journey back to the cabin took forever. The storm howled around them. The snow tried to bury them. Every step was a battle. Every breath was a victory. But Eli did not stop, did not slow down. He had survived worse. He had done worse. This was nothing. Finally, after what felt like hours, he saw the faint glow of his cabin window. He had left a candle burning. Old habit. Never enter a dark room. He kicked open the door and carried the girl inside. The fire in the hearth had burned down to embers, but the cabin was still warm. Eli laid the girl on his bed, his only bed. He wrapped her in every blanket he owned. He stoked the fire until flames leaped toward the ceiling. Then he knelt beside her and waited. The girl's breathing was shallow. Her heartbeat was weak. But she was alive. Against all odds, against all logic, she was alive. Her eyes opened again, still green, still terrified. But something else was there now, something that might have been hope. "Mama," she whispered. "Where is Mama?" Eli looked at her. Then he looked at the door. Then he looked back at her. If there was a mother out there in the storm, she was already dead. No one could survive this blizzard without shelter. No one. But he could not tell this child that, not now, not when she was fighting just to stay alive. "Rest," he said. "We will find her." The girl's eyes searched his face, looking for lies, looking for truth, looking for something to hold on to in a world that had given her nothing but cold and pain. "Promise," she whispered. Eli hesitated. He had made promises before. He had broken them all. But looking at this child, this tiny broken thing that the mountain had tried to swallow, he found himself nodding. "I promise," he said. The girl closed her eyes. Her breathing steadied. She was asleep. Eli stood up and walked to the window. The storm raged outside, white and merciless and eternal. Somewhere out there in the heart of that frozen hell was someone else. A mother. A woman who had fired those shots. A woman who was probably already dead. He should let it go. Should focus on the child. Should be grateful he had saved even one life. But Eli Thorne had never been good at letting things go. He grabbed his rifle from the rack on the wall. He checked the ammunition. He pulled on his spare coat. Then he opened the door and walked back into the storm. Clara Whitmore woke up buried in snow. For a long moment, she did not move, could not move. Her body had stopped obeying her hours ago. The cold had seeped into her bones, into her blood, into the very core of her being. She was going to die here. She knew that now. She had known it for a while. But Lily, oh God, Lily. Clara forced her eyes open. The world was white, nothing but white. She could not see the sky or the ground or anything in between. Just endless, merciless white. "Lily!" she called out. Her voice cracked. Her throat burned. "Lily!" No answer. Just the howling of the wind. Clara tried to stand. Her left ankle screamed in protest. She had twisted it hours ago, maybe days ago. She could not remember anymore. Time had stopped meaning anything in this frozen wasteland. She fell, tried again, fell again. Fine. She would crawl. Clara dragged herself forward, one hand at a time, 1 inch at a time. The snow tried to swallow her. The wind tried to push her back. But she kept moving. She had to keep moving. Lily was out there somewhere, her daughter, her whole world, not her daughter by blood. Lily was Marcus's child from his first wife. But Clara had raised her for 2 years, had loved her for 2 years, had protected her from Marcus's temper and Marcus's cruelty and Marcus's cold, calculating control. And now she had lost her. Clara did not know how long she crawled. Minutes, hours. It all felt the same. Everything was cold and white and hopeless. Then she saw the light. It was faint, just a flicker in the darkness. But it was there. Real. A cabin. Shelter. Clara crawled faster. Her hands were numb. Her knees were bleeding through her dress. But she did not stop. She reached the door, pounded on it with frozen fists. It opened. A man stood there, tall, broad, a scar on his face. Eyes like winter itself. Clara looked past him and saw a bed. And on that bed, wrapped in blankets, was Lily. Alive. Clara pushed past the man. She did not think, did not plan, just moved. She fell to her knees beside the bed and pulled Lily into her arms. Lily stirred, opened her eyes. "Mama, I am here," Clara sobbed. "I am here, baby. I am so sorry. I am so sorry." She held her daughter tight, felt her warmth, felt her heartbeat. For one perfect moment, nothing else mattered. Then she remembered the man. Clara turned. The stranger was still standing by the door, watching her with those cold gray eyes. He had not moved, had not spoken, just watched. Clara's hand moved to her hip, to the gun she always carried, the gun her husband had taught her to use, the gun that had saved her life 3 days ago when Crane's men found them on the trail. She pulled it from its holster and pointed it at the stranger. "What did you do to her?" Clara demanded. Her voice was stronger now. Anger did that. Anger burned away the cold. The stranger looked at the gun, then at her, then back at the gun. "If I wanted to hurt her," he said quietly, "she would be dead. Put that down before you hurt yourself." Clara pulled the trigger. Click. Nothing. Empty. She had used all her bullets on Crane's men. She had forgotten. The stranger still did not move. He just looked at her with something that might have been pity, or might have been understanding. Clara dropped the gun. All the strength went out of her. She collapsed beside the bed, beside Lily, beside everything she had left in this world. "Mama," Lily said softly. Her small hand touched Clara's hair. "The mountain man saved me. He is not bad." Clara looked up at the stranger, looked at his scarred face and cold eyes and rough hands. He did not look like a savior. He looked like death itself. But he had saved her daughter. And right now that was enough. The cabin was small but warm. Clara sat by the fire, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, a cup of hot water in her hands. Her ankle was bandaged. She did not remember the stranger doing that. She must have passed out. Lily was asleep again, curled up on the bed like a kitten. Safe, warm, alive. The stranger sat across from Clara on a wooden chair that creaked under his weight. He had not spoken since she woke up. Just watched her with those unreadable eyes. "Thank you," Clara said finally. The words felt strange in her mouth. She could not remember the last time she had thanked anyone for anything. The stranger nodded once, said nothing. "Who are you?" Clara asked. "Eli," the stranger said. "Elijah Thorne." Clara waited for more. None came. "I am Clara Whitmore," she said. "That is my daughter Lily." "Daughter." Eli looked at Lily. Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe, or memory. Clara could not tell. "She is not your blood," Eli said. It was not a question. Clara stiffened. "How did you know? She does not look like you, does not move like you, and she calls you Mama, not Mother." Clara was silent for a moment. Then she nodded. "She is my husband's daughter, from his first wife. Her mother died in childbirth. I married Marcus 2 years ago. Where is your husband now?" "Dead." Eli's expression did not change. "How?" "His heart," Clara said. The lie came easily. She had told it so many times. His heart gave out. Eli looked at her for a long moment. Clara had the uncomfortable feeling that he could see right through her, that he knew she was lying, but he did not push. "Storm should pass by morning," Eli said instead. "There is a trading post 2 days' ride south. I will take you there." Clara shook her head. "We cannot go to any town. Why not?" "Because there are men looking for us." "Bad men. And they will not stop until they find us." Eli leaned forward slightly. "Who?" Clara looked at her daughter, at the fire, at her hands wrapped around the cup. Anywhere but at Eli. "His name is Victor Crane," she said quietly. "He was my husband's business partner. When Marcus died, Crane claimed we owed him money, a lot of money. He wanted me to marry him to settle the debt, and you said no." Clara laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "I said no. So he said he would take Lily instead, said he would put her in an orphanage, said she would never see me again." She looked up at Eli. "So we ran." Eli was quiet for a long time. The fire crackled between them. Outside, the wind howled. "How many men does Crane have?" Eli asked finally. "Enough. He owns the town, owns the sheriff, owns everyone. And they followed you into these mountains. We had a guide, someone we paid to take us over the pass. He sold us out. Crane's men found us on the second day. I killed one, took his horse. But they are still out there. They will not stop." Eli stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at the storm. "They will not find this place," he said. "Not in this weather. And when the weather clears, then we will see." Clara watched him. This strange, silent man who had pulled her daughter from the snow. This ghost who lived alone in the mountains, away from everything and everyone. "Why are you helping us?" she asked. Eli did not turn around. "I do not know," he said honestly. "Maybe I am tired of letting people die." Clara did not know what to say to that, so she said nothing. That night, she slept beside Lily on the bed. Eli stayed in his chair by the fire. He did not sleep. Clara knew because every time she opened her eyes, he was still there, watching the door, watching the window, watching for danger, protecting them. Clara did not trust him. She did not trust anyone. But for the first time in 3 days, she felt something she had almost forgotten: safe. The storm lasted 3 days. 3 days of wind and snow, and the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and never quite leaves. 3 days trapped in a cabin the size of a horse stall with a man who barely spoke, and a child who could not stop asking questions. For Clara, it was torture. For Eli, it was something else entirely. He had not shared his space with anyone in 6 years, had not heard another voice except his own, had not cooked for anyone, cleaned for anyone, cared about anyone. Now he had 2 people depending on him, and he did not know how to feel about that. The first day was the hardest. Clara watched him like a hawk watches a snake, waiting for him to strike. She kept Lily close, always within arm's reach. She flinched whenever he moved too fast. She never turned her back on him. Eli understood. He had seen that kind of fear before, had caused that kind of fear before. In his old life, when he was someone else entirely. So he kept his distance, spoke only when necessary, left food on the table and retreated to the corner, made himself as small and unthreatening as a man his size could be. On the second day, something changed. Lily started it. Children always did. They did not have the walls that adults built, did not have the fear that experience taught. They just saw what was in front of them and reacted. Eli was sitting by the fire, carving a piece of wood. He did not know what he was making. He never did when he started. The wood told him what it wanted to be. Lily appeared beside him, silent, watching. Eli glanced at her, then back at his work. He kept carving. Minutes passed. The fire crackled. The wind howled outside. Lily did not move. "What are you making?" she asked finally. "Do not know yet," Eli said. Lily tilted her head. "How can you make something if you do not know what it is?" "The wood knows. I just help it get there." "That is strange. Most things worth doing are strange." Lily considered this. Then she sat down beside him, crossed her legs, and watched him work. Clara stood by the bed, tension radiating from every line of her body. Eli could feel her eyes on him, could feel her ready to move, ready to fight, ready to protect her child. But she did not say anything, did not pull Lily away, just watched. An hour later, Eli finished. He looked at what he had made. A rabbit, small, simple, with long ears and a fluffy tail. He held it out to Lily. "Here." Lily took it carefully, like it might break. She turned it over in her hands, studying every detail. "For me?" she asked. Eli nodded. Lily looked up at him. Her green eyes were bright, surprised, grateful. "Thank you," she whispered. Eli did not know what to say, so he just nodded again and went back to staring at the fire. That night, Lily fell asleep holding the rabbit, and Clara, for the first time since arriving, met Eli's eyes without fear. On the third day, Clara tried to help. Eli woke to the smell of smoke. Not the good kind of smoke from the fireplace, the bad kind. The something is burning kind. He jumped up from his chair and found Clara standing over the stove, frantically waving at a pan full of flames. Eli grabbed the pan with his bare hand, cursed at the heat, and threw it into the snow outside. The fire sizzled and died. Clara stood there, face red, hands shaking. "I was trying to make breakfast," she said. Her voice was tight, embarrassed. "I wanted to help." Eli looked at her, at the smoke stains on the ceiling, at the half-burnt cabin that was his only home. "You have never cooked over an open fire," he said. It was not a question. "No." Clara's jaw tightened. "I grew up with servants. My husband had servants. I never needed to learn." Eli could have laughed, could have mocked her. A rich woman who could not cook, who could not survive without someone to take care of her. But he did not. Sit down, he said instead. Watch. Clara hesitated. Then she sat. Eli rebuilt the fire. He found more meat, started over. And as he cooked, he explained how to judge the heat, how to turn the meat at the right time, how to know when it was done without burning it. Clara listened. She did not interrupt, did not ask stupid questions, just listened. When the food was ready, Eli handed her a plate. Tomorrow, he said, you try again. Clara looked at him. Something flickered across her face. Not gratitude exactly. Something deeper, something like respect. Thank you, she said quietly. Eli shrugged. Just eat. That afternoon, the storm finally broke. The wind died. The snow stopped. Sunlight crept through the clouds for the first time in 3 days. Eli stood at the window, watching the world turn from white to gold. Storm is over, he said. You should be able to travel soon. Clara came to stand beside him. She was stronger now. The color had returned to her cheeks. Her ankle was healing. Where would we go? She asked. The trading post I mentioned. Old Tom runs it. He is a good man. He could help you get further south. And then what? Crane has men everywhere. Every town, every trail. We would not make it a week. Eli was silent. She was right. Running was not a solution. It was just a slower way of dying. So we hide, he said finally. Where? Here. Clara turned to look at him. Here? In your cabin? For now. Until we figure out something better. Why would you do that? You do not know us. You do not owe us anything. Eli did not answer for a long moment. He just looked out the window at the mountains he had called home for 6 years. The mountains that had been his prison and his sanctuary, his punishment and his peace. There was a time, he said slowly, when I would have walked past that storm and never looked back. Would have let you and your daughter freeze to death and not lost a minute of sleep. But not now. No, not now. What changed? Eli thought about that. Thought about the little girl with green eyes and a broken leg. Thought about the words she had spoken when he found her. Please do not hurt me. I cannot walk. I cannot run away. Words that cut deeper than any knife. I heard something I could not ignore, he said. Clara studied his face, looking for lies, looking for truth, looking for something she could trust. There is a shrine in your cabin, she said quietly. 2 pictures. A woman and a girl. Eli's jaw tightened. Who were they? My wife. My daughter. Were? They died. Because of me. Clara was quiet for a moment. Then she reached out and touched his arm. Just for a second. Just enough to say I understand. Some cages we build ourselves, she said softly. Eli looked down at her hand, then at her face, then back out the window. 1 week, he said. Give your ankle time to heal. Then we figure out what comes next. And if Crane's men find us before then I deal with them. How? The way I used to deal with everything. Clara did not ask what that meant. Maybe she already knew. Maybe she could see it in his eyes. The ghost of the man he used to be. The killer, the hunter, the monster. Some things do not need to be said. They just are. That night, Eli went out to check his trap lines. When he came back, Clara had made dinner. It was burnt on the edges and raw in the middle, but she had made it, by herself, without burning down the cabin. Eli ate every bite. And for the first time in 6 years, his cabin did not feel like a tomb. It felt like a home. The week passed faster than Clara expected. Every morning, Eli taught her something new. How to start a fire without matches. How to set a trap. How to skin a rabbit. Skills she never thought she would need. Skills that might save her life someday. Every afternoon she practiced while Eli checked his territory. He never said where he was going or what he was looking for. Just left at the same time every day and returned before dark. Every evening, the three of them sat by the fire. Lily played with her wooden rabbit. Clara mended clothes or cleaned dishes. Eli carved or stared at the flames or did whatever it was that silent men did when they had nothing to say. It was peaceful, quiet, almost normal. But Clara knew it could not last. On the fifth day, she decided to tell him the truth. Part of it, anyway. They were sitting by the fire after Lily had fallen asleep. The cabin was warm. The night was cold. The silence was comfortable in a way Clara had never experienced before. "There is something I did not tell you," she said quietly. Eli looked up from his carving. Waited. "About Marcus. About how he died." "I figured." Clara stared at the fire. The flames danced and flickered, casting shadows on the wall. "He did not die of heart failure," she said. "He was murdered, poisoned, by Victor Crane." Eli's hand stilled on the wood. His eyes sharpened. "You sure?" "I am sure. I saw Crane visit the night before Marcus died. They argued about something, business papers, business, documents. I could not hear everything, but Crane was furious. The next morning, Marcus was dead. And you did not tell anyone?" "Who would I tell?" "Crane owns the sheriff, owns the judge, owns everyone in Silver Creek. They would have called me a hysterical widow, or worse, they would have blamed me. Why does Crane want you so badly? If Marcus is dead, his secrets die with him." Clara hesitated. This was the part she had not wanted to say, the part that made everything more complicated. "There are papers," she said finally, "documents that Marcus kept. I do not know what they contain, but Crane wants them desperately. He thinks I know where they are. Do you?" "No. Marcus never told me anything about his business. He did not trust women with important things." Clara laughed bitterly. "He did not trust women with anything." Eli was quiet for a long moment. The fire crackled. The wind whispered outside. "So Crane is not just chasing a debt," he said slowly. "He is chasing something that could destroy him." "Yes. Something worth killing for." "Yes." Eli set down his carving, stood up, walked to the window. "I was a bounty hunter," he said without turning around. "For 12 years. I tracked men across territories, caught them, brought them in, sometimes alive, sometimes not." Clara did not move, did not speak, just listened. "I was good at it, too good. They called me the ghost of the Rockies, because I could find anyone, because no one ever escaped me. What happened?" Eli was silent for so long that Clara thought he might not answer. "6 years ago, I was tracking a man named James Coulter, murderer, rapist, the worst kind of scum. He fled into the mountains, and I followed." He paused. His hands gripped the windowsill. "I tracked him to a farmhouse, thought he was inside, kicked open the door and started shooting." Clara's heart sank. "It was not Coulter," Eli said quietly. "It was just a family, a woman and her little girl. They were hiding from the storm. Wrong place, wrong time." Eli turned to face her. His eyes were empty, haunted. "I killed them," he said. "Both of them. The woman died instantly. The girl took longer. She looked at me while she was dying, green eyes, just like Lily's." Clara felt tears on her cheeks. She did not remember starting to cry. "I quit after that," Eli continued. "Left everything behind. Came up here to die alone. Because that is what I deserve." "No." "Yes." Eli shook his head. "I am not a good man, Clara. I have killed more people than I can count. Innocent people, guilty people, people who probably deserved better. Then why did you save us? Because when I found Lily in that snow, she said the same thing that little girl said 6 years ago. 'Please do not hurt me. I cannot walk. I cannot run away.' He met Clara's eyes. I could not let it happen again. Could not let another child die because of me." Clara stood up, walked across the room until she was standing in front of him. Close enough to touch. You have been punishing yourself for 6 years, she said softly, living in this tomb, waiting to die. But saving us does not erase what you did, and letting us die would not have made it worse. Then what would? Nothing. That is the point. The past is gone. You cannot change it. You can only decide what to do with the time you have left. Eli stared at her. Something shifted in his eyes. Pain, hope, fear, all tangled together. I do not know how to do anything else, he said. Then learn. Clara reached out and took his hand. The way you taught me to cook. The way you taught me to shoot. Learn to live again. Eli looked down at their joined hands. He did not pull away. It might be too late. It might be, but it might not be. They stood there in the firelight, two broken people holding on to each other. Not lovers, not yet. Maybe never, but something. Allies, partners, survivors. The moment was broken by a sound from outside. A horse, distant but getting closer. Eli dropped Clara's hand and grabbed his rifle. Stay here, he said. Keep Lily quiet. What is it? Maybe nothing. Maybe trouble. He opened the door and slipped into the darkness. Clara waited by the fire, her heart pounding. Minutes passed, an hour, 2 hours. Finally the door opened. Eli stepped inside. His face was grim. Found tracks, he said. 2 riders. Professional. They have been circling the area for days. Crane's men, probably. They will find us soon. 3 days. Maybe 4. Clara felt the fear rising in her chest. The same fear that had driven her from Silver Creek. The same fear that had sent her running into these mountains. What do we do? Eli checked his rifle, checked his pistol, checked the knife in his boot. I go hunting, he said. Before they find us, I find them. And then what? Eli looked at her. His eyes were cold again, hard. The eyes of the ghost. Then I do what I do best. Dutch Vanderberg had killed 23 men in his life. He remembered every single one. Not because he felt guilty, he did not feel anything anymore. He just remembered because that was what professionals did. They kept count. His partner, Miguel Reyes, did not keep count. Miguel was a tracker, not a killer. He could follow a trail over bare rock and through running water. He could tell you how many people had passed, how fast they were moving, and what they had eaten for breakfast. But he did not like getting his hands dirty. That was what Dutch was for. They had been in these mountains for a week now, following the tracks of Clara Whitmore and her brat. Victor Crane was paying them $500 each, more money than either of them had seen in years. Find them, Crane had said. Bring the woman back alive. The girl is not important. Dutch knew what that meant. Accidents happen in mountains. Everyone knew that. Now they were close. Miguel had found fresh tracks 2 days ago. Horse prints, boot prints, and something else, drag marks, like someone could not walk properly. The girl, Miguel had said. She has a bad leg. Clubfoot, maybe. Does not matter, Dutch had replied. Just find them. Miguel found the cabin on the 6th day. Smoke rising from a chimney, horses in a small corral, signs of recent activity. There, Miguel said, pointing from their hiding spot on the ridge. That is where they are staying. Dutch studied the cabin through his spyglass. Small, isolated, 1 door, 1 window. Easy to surround, easy to take. But something bothered him. The cabin did not look temporary. It looked lived in, which meant someone else was there. Someone who called these mountains home. We should wait, Dutch said. Watch for a while. See who else is involved. Crane said to move fast. Crane is not here. We are. Miguel shrugged. He did not argue. He was a tracker, not a planner. They watched the cabin for 2 days. On the first day, they saw the woman. Clara Whitmore. She came out to gather firewood and check on the horses. She moved carefully, favoring one ankle. Injured, but recovering. On the second day, they saw the girl, small, limping, playing in the snow near the cabin door. Just a child, nothing special. But on both days they saw something else too. A man, tall, broad, moving with the quiet confidence of someone who knew these woods like his own hands. And on the second day, that man found their camp. Dutch was asleep when it happened. Miguel was supposed to be on watch, but Miguel had gotten lazy, had let his guard down, had assumed they were the hunters, not the hunted. He woke up tied to a tree. His guns were gone, his knife was gone, even his boots were gone. He was trussed up like a Christmas turkey with a gag in his mouth and rope around his wrists and ankles. The stranger stood in front of him, silent, watching, a knife in one hand. "Your friend is over there," the stranger said, gesturing with the blade. "Same situation. In case you are wondering." Dutch looked. Miguel was tied to another tree 20 feet away, also gagged, also helpless. "I am going to take out your gag," the stranger continued, "and you are going to answer some questions. If you lie, I will know. If you scream, I will not bother asking again." He reached out and pulled the cloth from Dutch's mouth. "Who sent you?" the stranger asked. Dutch spat on the ground. "Go to hell!" The stranger nodded, like he had expected that. He flipped the knife in his hand and drove it into Dutch's thigh. Dutch screamed, or tried to. The sound came out strangled, choked by pain. "Who sent you?" the stranger asked again. "Crane," Dutch gasped. "Victor Crane. Silver Creek. How many men does he have?" "I do not know. A lot. 20, maybe 30. Are there more coming?" "I do not know. Maybe. Probably." The stranger pulled the knife out. Dutch screamed again. "Here is what is going to happen," the stranger said calmly. "I am going to let you go, you and your friend. You are going to ride back to Silver Creek and tell Crane something." "What?" "Tell him the woman and girl are under my protection. Tell him if he sends more men, they will end up like you. Tell him to forget about Clara Whitmore and her daughter, forever." Dutch laughed through the pain. It sounded more like a sob. "You do not know Crane," he said. "He will not stop. Not ever. Those papers are worth more than your life. More than all our lives." The stranger leaned close. His eyes were cold. "Dead. Then he will have to come get them himself." He stood up, cut Dutch's ropes, left his weapons in a pile 10 feet away. "You have 1 hour head start," the stranger said. "After that, I start hunting." Dutch scrambled for his guns. When he looked up, the stranger was gone, disappeared into the woods like smoke, like a ghost. They rode hard for 3 hours. Dutch's legs screamed with every step, but he did not stop, did not slow down. He had seen something in that stranger's eyes, something he recognized. The look of a man who had killed before, who would kill again, who would not hesitate or regret or lose a single night's sleep over adding another body to the count. Dutch knew that look because he saw it in his own mirror every morning. When they finally stopped to rest, Miguel spoke for the first time. "What do we do?" he asked. "We go back to Silver Creek. Tell Crane what happened. He will be angry." Dutch shrugged. "Let him be angry. I am not going back up there. Not for $500. Not for 5,000. You are scared." Dutch looked at his partner. At the man who had never killed anyone, who did not understand what it meant to face someone who could. "That man was not normal," Dutch said slowly. "He moved like a predator, like a wolf or a mountain cat. I have seen killers before, Miguel. I am a killer. But that man, but that..." He trailed off, shook his head. "That man is something else entirely." They rode the rest of the way in silence. And when they reached Silver Creek 4 days later, Dutch told Crane everything. "The woman is protected," he said, "by a ghost." Crane listened. His face did not change, but his eyes burned with something dark and hungry. "Then I will deal with the ghost myself," he said. Eli came back to the cabin, covered in blood that was not his own. Clara was waiting at the door. She had heard him coming, heard his footsteps in the snow, heard the weariness in his movements. When she saw him step into the firelight, her heart stopped. "Are you hurt?" she asked. "No." Eli walked past her into the cabin, dropped his rifle on the table, started cleaning the blood from his hands. "Whose blood is that?" "Two men. Crane's trackers. I found them before they found us." "Are they dead?" "One of them is wounded. The other is scared. I let them go." Clara stared at him. "You let them go?" "I gave them a message for Crane, told them to leave you alone." "And you think that will work?" Eli finished washing his hands, dried them on a cloth, turned to face her. "No," he said honestly. "Crane will come himself now, with more men. It was never going to end any other way." "Then why let them go?" "Because I am tired of killing people who do not need to die." Eli met her eyes. Those men were just hired hands, following orders for money. Killing them would not solve anything. Clara was quiet for a moment. Then she walked across the room and took his hands in hers. "You are a better man than you think," she said softly. Eli looked down at their joined hands, at her small fingers wrapped around his scarred knuckles. "You do not know what I have done. I know what you have done for us. That is not enough." Clara reached up and touched his face, gently, like she was touching something fragile. "Let me decide what is enough." Eli closed his eyes. For a moment he let himself feel it, the warmth of her hand, the weight of her words, the possibility of something he had given up on long ago. Then he pulled back. "We need to prepare," he said. His voice was rough. "Crane will not wait. He will come as soon as his men report back." "How long do we have?" "A week, maybe less. What do we do?" Eli walked to the window, looked out at the mountains. His home, his prison. "I know these woods better than anyone alive," he said. "Every trail, every pass, every rock and tree. If Crane wants to find us, he will have to go through me. And if there are too many of them, then I thin the herd before they get close. You cannot fight an army alone. I am not alone." Clara felt something warm bloom in her chest, something dangerous, something she had sworn she would never feel again. Eli turned to face her. "Can you shoot?" Clara nodded. "Marcus taught me." Before he... Eli waited. "Before he became what he became," Clara finished quietly. "Then tomorrow, we practice. You need to be ready." "For what?" "For whatever comes next." The days that followed were filled with preparation. Eli taught Clara how to use his Sharps rifle, a massive weapon that kicked like a mule but could hit a target 1,000 yards away. He taught her how to reload fast, how to aim true, how to breathe through the fear. He also taught her where to run if things went wrong. "There is a pass to the north," he said one evening, drawing a map in the dirt floor. "Follow it for 2 days, and you will reach a town called Helena. Find a woman named Mary Thorne, my sister. Tell her I sent you." "Your sister?" "We have not spoken in 6 years, but she will help you. She is good people." Clara studied his face, the way he talked about his sister, with love and regret and something that looked like shame. "Why did you stop talking to her?" Clara asked. "Because I could not face her after what I did. Could not look her in the eyes and see the disappointment, the disgust." "Maybe you should try." Eli shook his head. "It is too late for me. But not for you, not for Lily. Do not say that." "Say what?" "That it is too late." Clara stepped closer to him. "You saved us. You are protecting us. That means something. It does not erase what I did. Nothing will erase what you did. But it can balance the scales, a little at a time, one good deed after another." Eli looked at her. Really looked at her. At this woman who had been through hell and come out fighting, who had lost everything and still found the strength to hope. "You are a remarkable woman," he said quietly. Clara smiled. It was the first real smile she had given in months. I am just a woman who refuses to give up. There is nothing remarkable about that. There is everything remarkable about that. They stood there in the firelight, close enough to touch but not touching. The air between them crackled with something unspoken, something neither of them was ready to name. Eli broke the moment first. He always did. "Get some sleep," he said. "Tomorrow is going to be hard." Clara nodded, walked toward the bed where Lily was already sleeping, but at the door to the sleeping area she stopped, looked back. "Eli? Yeah? Thank you. For everything." Eli did not answer. He just turned back to the fire and stared at the flames until morning. The next week passed in a blur of training and preparation. Clara's hands blistered from the rifle. Her shoulders ached from the recoil. But she did not complain, did not stop, just kept shooting until her aim was true and her nerves were steady. Lily watched them sometimes from her spot by the fire. She did not ask questions, did not cry, did not show fear. She just watched with those green eyes that seemed to see everything. One evening, while Clara was cleaning the rifle, Lily came and sat beside her. "Mama," she said quietly. "Yes, baby. Is Mr. Eli going to die?" Clara's hands stilled on the weapon. "What makes you ask that?" Lily shrugged. She was only 6, but she had the eyes of someone much older, someone who had seen too much. "People who protect other people usually die," she said matter-of-factly. "That is what happened to Mary." "Mary? My first mama. Papa said she died protecting me." Clara pulled Lily into her arms, held her tight. "Mr. Eli is not going to die," she whispered. "Promise?" Clara closed her eyes. Thought about promises, thought about lies, thought about all the things she could not control. "I promise," she said, and prayed she was not wrong. Old Tom Weatherby had known Eli Thorne for 15 years. He remembered the young man who had first walked into his trading post, all fire and fury and righteous anger. He remembered the bounty hunter who had grown harder with every passing year, every captured criminal, every close call. He remembered the ghost who had appeared 6 years ago, hollow-eyed and broken, asking for supplies and silence. Tom had given him both, because that was what friends did. Now Tom was dying and Eli was holding his hand. "I'm sorry," Tom whispered. His voice was barely audible. Blood bubbled from his lips with every word. "They came yesterday, asking about you, about a woman and a girl. I know, old Tom, I know. I tried to hold out, tried to give you time, but they were persuasive. You did good. You did everything you could." Tom coughed. More blood. His grip on Eli's hand weakened. "She reminds me of Beth," he said, "the little one. Same eyes, same spirit." Beth was Tom's daughter, had died of fever 20 years ago. He still kept her portrait above the bar. "I know," Eli said again. "Take care of them," Tom whispered. Do not let them end up like—" He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. His eyes closed. His breathing stopped. His hand went limp. Eli sat there for a long moment, holding the hand of the only friend he had left, the only person in the world who knew who he was and did not hate him for it. Then he stood up. He looked around the trading post, at the broken furniture, the scattered goods, the blood on the floor. Dutch and Miguel had been thorough, had taken their time, had made sure Tom suffered before he gave up the location of the cabin. Professional, Eli thought. Methodical. He walked to the door, stepped outside, looked at the tracks in the snow. 2 horses, heading north, moving fast. They had a half-day head start, maybe more, but they were heading toward the cabin, toward Clara and Lily, toward the only things Eli cared about anymore. He mounted his horse and rode. He caught up with them at dusk. Dutch was easy to track. His wounded leg was slowing him down. Miguel was staying close, watching his partner's back. Neither of them expected company. Eli came at them from above, used the terrain the way he always did. High ground, cover, patience. His first shot took Miguel in the chest. The tracker fell from his horse without a sound, dead before he hit the ground. Dutch spun, reaching for his rifle. Fast, trained, but not fast enough. Eli's second shot caught him in the shoulder. Dutch screamed and tumbled from his horse, crawled behind a fallen log, started shooting back. Eli did not rush, did not panic, just moved from cover to cover, working his way closer, wearing Dutch down one shot at a time. The fight lasted an hour, maybe two. By the end, Dutch was out of ammunition and bleeding from 3 different wounds. Eli stepped out from behind a tree, walked toward him slowly, gun raised. "Please," Dutch gasped, "please. I was just following orders, just doing my job. You tortured an old man to death. He would not talk. We had to—" Eli shot him in the knee. Dutch screamed, writhed in the snow. The white turned red beneath him. Eli stood over him, looked down at the man who had killed his only friend. The man who would have killed Clara and Lily without a second thought. "You have information I need," Eli said calmly. "How many men is Crane bringing?" I do not know." Eli pressed his boot against the wounded knee. Dutch screamed again. "How many? 20, maybe more. He is coming himself. Wants the woman personally. When? Soon. 3 days. 4. He was already gathering men when we left." Eli nodded, stepped back. Dutch looked up at him with wild, desperate eyes. "Are you going to kill me?" Eli thought about it, about old Tom dying in his arms, about the fear in Dutch's eyes that matched the fear he had seen in so many other eyes over the years, about the words Clara had spoken. "You have been punishing yourself for 6 years. Maybe it is time to stop." "No," Eli said finally. "I am not going to kill you." He holstered his gun, turned away. "Your horse is gone. Your friend is dead. The nearest town is 2 days' walk, and you have got a bullet in your shoulder and your knee. Maybe you make it. Maybe you do not." He started walking toward his own horse. "Wait," Dutch called out. "Wait! You cannot leave me here. I will die." Eli stopped, looked back. "Probably," he said, "but that is not my problem anymore." He mounted up and rode for the cabin. Clara was waiting when he arrived. She had heard the shots, had prepared for the worst, had Lily hidden in the cellar and the rifle ready in her hands. When Eli walked through the door, she nearly shot him. "It is me," he said. "Just me." Clara lowered the rifle. Her hands were shaking. "What happened?" "We heard gunshots. We thought, old Tom is dead." Eli's voice was flat, empty. "They tortured him for information. Found out where we are." Clara's face went pale. "Oh, God, I killed one of them. The tracker. Left the other one in the woods. Is he going to die?" "Probably." Clara set down the rifle, walked across the room, took Eli's face in her hands. "Look at me," she said. Eli tried to pull away. She did not let him. "Look at me." He looked. "Are you all right?" "No," Eli said honestly. "I am not all right. I have not been all right for 6 years." Clara studied his face. The pain, the guilt, the exhaustion. Then she did something unexpected. She kissed him. It was not a gentle kiss, not soft or tentative. It was desperate and fierce and full of everything neither of them could say. Eli froze for a moment, then he kissed her back. When they finally pulled apart, Clara was crying. "I know you are broken," she whispered. "I know you have done terrible things. I know you think you do not deserve to be happy, Clara. But you saved us. You are fighting for us. You are good enough for me." Eli looked at her, at this woman who had become his whole world without him even realizing it. "Crane is coming," he said. 20 men, maybe more. I know. I cannot beat 20 men. You do not have to beat them." Clara wiped her eyes. "You just have to survive long enough for help to arrive." "What help?" "I sent a letter to the federal marshal in Helena before we left Silver Creek. I told him about Crane, about the papers Marcus hid, about everything." Eli stared at her. "Those papers," Clara continued, "they are not just business records. Marcus was gathering evidence against Crane, proof that he was selling weapons to hostile tribes, treason. If the marshal finds them, Crane is finished. Where are the papers? I do not know, but I think I know who does. Who? Reverend Hale, the priest in Silver Creek. Marcus used to confide in him. If anyone knows where Marcus hid those documents, it is him. Eli was quiet for a long moment. Then we need to talk to the Reverend, he said finally. How? Crane controls the town. The Reverend is probably working for him. Probably. But men of God have a weakness. What is that? Their conscience. Victor Crane had not left Silver Creek in 3 years. He did not need to. Everything he wanted came to him. Money, power, women. All he had to do was reach out and take it. But some things could not be delegated. Some problems required a personal touch. Clara Whitmore was one of those problems. He gathered his men in the saloon, 18 of them, the best guns in the territory, killers and outlaws and men who would do anything for money. Listen carefully, Crane said from his place at the head of the table. We are going into the mountains to retrieve something that belongs to me. A woman and her daughter. The men shifted, exchanged glances. Dutch and Miguel failed, someone said. What makes you think we will do better? Crane smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Dutch and Miguel were careless. They underestimated the man protecting her. We will not make that mistake. Who is he? The protector? Someone called the Ghost, a former bounty hunter who lives in the mountains. He is good, maybe the best I have ever seen. Then why are we going after him? Because I have something he wants. Crane pulled a piece of paper from his pocket. A letter from the federal marshal, demanding to see the documents Marcus Whitmore collected before his death. One of the men leaned forward. Those papers exist? They exist, and they are enough to hang me 3 times over. Crane crumpled the letter. But only if someone finds them. Only if Clara Whitmore tells the marshal what she knows. So we kill her. We bring her back. The Ghost will not let us take her easily. He will fight. And when he does, Crane smiled again. We kill him. Slowly. In front of her. Then she tells us where the papers are. And the girl? Crane shrugged. Accidents happen in mountains. The men laughed. Dark, ugly laughter. One man did not laugh. Reverend Jacob Hale sat in the corner of the saloon, his face pale, his hands gripping a glass of water. He had been with Crane for 2 years, had taken his money, had looked the other way while innocent people suffered. But a child, killing a child, even his corrupted soul had limits. Reverend, Crane called, you are coming with us. Me? Hale's voice cracked. Why? Because you know the mountains, because Marcus trusted you, and because I want God on my side. More laughter. Hale stood on shaking legs. Yes, Mr. Crane. They rode out at dawn, 18 men, armed to the teeth, heading into the Rockies with murder in their hearts, and one man with something else. Eli watched them come. From his position on the ridge, he could see the entire valley below, could count every rider, could see the dust rising from their horses, could estimate their speed, their weapons, their formation. 18 men, 18 professional killers led by Victor Crane himself, against one man with a rifle and a handful of traps. Eli had faced worse odds before, in his old life, when he was the Ghost. But back then, he did not have anything to lose. He turned and looked down at the cabin, where Clara and Lily were packing supplies for the journey north. They would leave tonight, head for the pass he had shown Clara, disappear into the wilderness while he kept Crane's men busy. It was the only way, the only chance. But first, he had to buy them time. Eli checked his rifle, counted his ammunition, 40 rounds. Enough for 2 kills per man if he was careful. He would have to be very careful. Clara appeared at the cabin door, looked up at the ridge where he was hidden. She could not see him, but she knew he was there. She raised her hand, a wave, a goodbye. Eli raised his hand in return. Then he turned back to the valley and started planning. The first attack came at dusk. Eli chose his position carefully. A narrow pass between two cliffs where the riders would have to bunch together, where his rifle would have maximum effect. He waited until the lead men were deep in the pass, until there was nowhere for them to run. Then he fired. His first shot took the lead rider in the chest. The man tumbled from his horse without a sound. His second shot missed as the others scattered for cover. But his third shot found its mark. Another man down. Chaos erupted. Horses screaming, men shouting, gunfire echoing off the cliffs. Eli did not stay to fight. He fired 3 more shots, hit 2 more men. Then he retreated up the cliff face, using paths only he knew, disappearing into the rocks like smoke, like a ghost. Behind him, he could hear Crane screaming orders. "Find him! Kill him! I want that bastard's head on a pike!" But Eli was already gone, already moving to his next position, already planning his next attack. It was going to be a long night. By morning, Crane had lost 6 men. 6, a third of his force, dead or dying in the mountain passes, and they had not even seen the ghost once. Crane stood at the edge of his camp, staring at the mountains with fury in his eyes. He had underestimated the man, had thought numbers and guns would be enough. He was wrong. "What do we do?" one of his men asked. "We cannot keep going like this." "We keep going," Crane said through clenched teeth. "But, sir—" Crane spun and grabbed the man by the throat. "Listen to me very carefully," he hissed. "Those papers can destroy me, can destroy everything I have built. I am not stopping until I have them in my hands. If you want to run, run. But if you do, I will hunt you down and kill you myself." He released the man, turned back to the mountains. "We move at first light. Double the scouts, triple the guards. And the next time someone sees the ghost, shoot to kill. No hesitation, no mercy." The men exchanged glances, but they did not argue. They knew what happened to people who argued with Victor Crane. From his hiding spot in the rocks, Eli watched them make camp. 12 men left, still more than he could handle head-on. But he had slowed them down, given Clara and Lily time to escape. Now he just had to stay alive until they were safe. He checked his ammunition. 23 rounds left. It was going to have to be enough. Reverend Jacob Hale had made many mistakes in his life. He had gambled when he should have saved. He had drunk when he should have prayed. He had taken money from Victor Crane when he should have run the other way. But his biggest mistake was standing here on this ridge, watching a madman order the death of a child. The ghost had led them on a merry chase through the mountains. 3 days of ambushes and traps and dead men left in the snow. 3 days of Crane's forces dwindling one by one. Now there were only 8 of them left. 8 men standing at the entrance to Dead Man's Pass, the last barrier between Crane and his prey. And the ghost was waiting. "He is in there," one of the scouts reported. "Saw movement near the rocks. He has got the high ground." "Then we go around," Crane said. "There is no way around. The pass is the only way through." Crane's jaw tightened. "How many men do we have to lose to kill one man?" Hale stepped forward. His voice shook, but he forced the words out anyway. "There is another way." Crane turned to look at him. "Another way?" "A trail, on the east side of the mountain. It leads to the back of the cabin where the woman is hiding. We could go around the pass entirely. Why did you not mention this before? Because it is dangerous, narrow, icy. One wrong step and you fall 1,000 feet. But it works." Hale hesitated, then nodded. Crane smiled. That wolf grin that made Hale's blood run cold. "Then we split up. Half the men go through the pass, keep the ghost busy. The other half go with the Reverend, take the back trail. Find the woman and the girl before the ghost knows we are coming." Hale wanted to argue, wanted to refuse, wanted to do something, anything to stop this madness. But he said nothing, because he was a coward, had always been a coward. And cowards did not argue with Victor Crane. The attack on the pass began at noon. Eli heard them coming, saw the dust rising from their horses. counted the riders as they entered the narrow canyon. 4 men, less than he expected, which meant the others had found another way. His blood ran cold. Clara. He fired once, twice, brought down 2 riders before they reached cover. Then he abandoned his position and started running. Running for the cabin. Running for Clara and Lily. Running like his life depended on it, because their lives depended on it. Clara heard them before she saw them. Horses, coming from the east. From the direction of the mountain trail she did not know existed. She grabbed the rifle, checked the ammunition, pulled Lily behind her. "Stay down," she said. "No matter what happens, stay down." "Mama, I mean it, Lily. Promise me." Lily's green eyes were wide with fear, but she nodded. "I promise." Clara moved to the window, looked out at the tree line. 4 riders emerged from the forest. One of them was wearing a priest's collar. They came around the pass, Clara realized, found another way. She raised the rifle, aimed at the lead rider. A large man with a red beard. Fire. The recoil nearly knocked her down. The bullet went wide, hitting a tree instead of the man. The riders scattered. Guns appeared in their hands. "There she is," someone shouted. "In the cabin." Clara fired again. This time she hit one of them in the shoulder. He screamed and fell from his horse, but the others kept coming. The door exploded inward. Clara spun, firing wildly, caught one man in the chest. He went down. But another was right behind him. Big, fast, too fast. He grabbed the rifle, twisted it from her hands, threw her against the wall. Clara's head cracked against the wood. Stars exploded in her vision. "Where is the girl?" the man demanded. "Where is she?" Clara spat blood in his face. The man hit her, hard. She fell to the floor. "Search the cabin," he ordered. "Find the brat." Another man started toward the cellar door, toward Lily. "No," Clara screamed. "No!" But she could not move, could not fight, could only watch as the man reached for the cellar handle. And then Reverend Hale did something that surprised everyone, including himself. "Stop!" The man with the red beard turned. "What did you say?" "I said stop." Hale's voice was shaking, but his eyes were clear. "This is wrong, all of it. We cannot murder a child." "Get out of my way, Reverend." "No." The man raised his gun. Hale did not move. "She is innocent," Hale said. "Whatever her mother did, whatever Crane wants, that child is innocent. I will not let you hurt her." For a long moment, no one moved. Then the cellar door opened. Lily stepped out, small, pale, terrified, but not hiding. "You are a priest," she said to Hale. Her voice was barely a whisper. "You are supposed to protect people. Are you going to let them hurt my mama?" Hale looked at her, at this tiny girl with green eyes that seemed to see right through him, see all the lies he had told, all the compromises he had made, all the pieces of his soul he had sold for money and safety and the illusion of peace. "No," he said, and then he drew his gun and shot the man with the red beard. Everything happened at once. The wounded man screamed. The other attacker lunged for Hale. Clara grabbed a knife from the floor and drove it into the man's leg. Lily screamed, and Eli burst through the door. He took in the scene in a heartbeat. Clara on the floor, Lily crying, Hale standing over 2 bodies with a smoking gun in his hand. "Where is Crane?" Eli demanded. "He stayed in the pass." Hale gasped. He wanted to see if the woman had the papers. What papers? Documents. Evidence. Enough to hang him for treason. Eli grabbed Clara, helped her to her feet. "Can you walk?" "Yes. Get Lily. We are leaving." "What about him?" Clara gestured at Hale. Eli looked at the priest, at the terror in his eyes, at the gun still shaking in his hand. "You saved them," Eli said finally. "I had to. After everything I let Crane do, I had to do something right." Eli nodded. "Then you come with us." They fled into the forest just as more shots echoed from the pass. Crane's men, realizing they had been tricked, coming for blood. But they were too late. The ghost had taken what was his. They caught up with Crane at the cliff. Eli had known this place for 6 years, a rocky outcropping that jutted over the valley below. The place he went when the guilt became too much. The place he thought about jumping from, in the darkest moments of his darkest days. Crane was waiting there, alone. His men were dead or scattered. His army was destroyed. His empire was crumbling. But he still had one card left to play. Lily. He had grabbed her during the chaos in the forest, had used her as a shield to escape, had dragged her up the mountain to this final confrontation. Now he stood at the edge of the cliff, one arm wrapped around Lily's throat, a gun pressed to her head. "That is far enough," Crane shouted. Eli stopped. Clara stopped beside him. Hale hung back, useless and terrified. "Let her go," Eli said. "You know I cannot do that. She is a child. She is leverage." Crane smiled, that wolf grin that had served him so well for so many years. "Drop your gun, Ghost, or I put a bullet in her brain." Eli looked at Lily, at the fear in her eyes, at the courage she was trying so hard to hold on to. He dropped his gun. "Good," Crane said. "Now the woman does the same." Clara hesitated. Eli nodded. She dropped her rifle. Crane laughed. "Amazing. The famous ghost, brought low by a crippled little girl. If I had known you were this soft, I would have come myself from the beginning." "What do you want?" Eli asked. "The papers. The ones Marcus hid. I know Clara knows where they are. She is going to tell me. And then I am going to kill all 3 of you. And if she does not know, then I start removing the girl's fingers until her mother remembers." Lily whimpered. Crane tightened his grip. Eli took a step forward. "Do not move," Crane warned. "I will kill her. You know I will." Eli stopped. But he did not take his eyes off Crane. "You know what your problem is, Crane?" Eli said conversationally. "Enlighten me. You think power makes you safe. You think money and men and guns can protect you from the world. But they cannot. They just make you a bigger target. Is that supposed to scare me?" "No," Eli smiled. "That is supposed to distract you." Crane's eyes widened. He started to turn. Lily bit down on his arm, hard, with all the strength her tiny body possessed. Crane screamed. His grip loosened. Eli moved. He covered the distance between them in 3 steps. His hand went to his boot, to the knife he always kept there. The knife he had been reaching for ever since he dropped his gun. Crane raised his weapon. Eli threw the knife. It caught Crane in the shoulder. He stumbled backward toward the cliff edge. His gun fired, but the shot went wide. Clara ran forward, grabbed Lily, pulled her away. Eli tackled Crane. They went down together, rolling in the snow, grappling for control. Crane was strong, but Eli was stronger. Years of hunting, of fighting, of surviving had forged his body into a weapon. He pinned Crane against the rocks, wrapped his hands around his throat. "This is for old Tom," Eli said through clenched teeth. "For Clara, for Lily, for everyone you have ever hurt." Crane laughed. It was a horrible sound, gurgling and wet. "Kill me," he gasped. "Go ahead. But it will not change anything. You are still a murderer, still a monster. You will never escape what you are." Eli looked down at him, at this pathetic man who had caused so much suffering, who had killed and stolen and destroyed without remorse. He thought about all the people he had killed in his life. The innocent ones, the guilty ones, the ones who had deserved it and the ones who had not. He thought about Clara, about Lily, about the future he had never allowed himself to want. "You are right," Eli said quietly. "I am a killer. I have done terrible things. But I am not a monster." He released Crane's throat, stood up. Crane stared at him, confused. "What are you doing?" "I am choosing something different," Eli said. "I am choosing to let you live." Let the law deal with you. Let the marshal have his trial. Crane laughed again. You fool. The marshal cannot touch me. I own half the judges in the territory. Not anymore. A new voice. From the edge of the clearing, Eli turned. A man on horseback emerged from the trees. He wore a federal marshal's badge. Behind him were a dozen more riders. Victor Crane, the marshal said, you are under arrest for treason, murder, and conspiracy. Any resistance will be met with lethal force. Crane looked at the riders, at the guns, at the end of everything he had built. How? He whispered. The papers, Clara said. She was holding Lily tight, tears streaming down her face. I remembered where Marcus hid them, told the Reverend. He got them to the marshal before we left Silver Creek. Crane turned to Hale, his face twisted with fury. You, he spat. You betrayed me. Hale straightened. For the first time in years, he looked like a man instead of a worm. I found my conscience, he said simply. The marshal's men moved forward, pulled Crane to his feet, put him in irons. Eli stood there and watched the man who had terrorized them dragged away. It was over. 3 months later. Spring came to the Rocky Mountains like a promise. The snow melted, the rivers ran, the trees put on their green again. And in a cabin halfway up a ridge, 3 people were building a life together. Eli finished the last nail on the new room, stepped back to admire his work. It was not much, just a small addition to the cabin. A bedroom for Lily, with a real bed and a window that looked out over the valley. But it was something. Clara appeared in the doorway. She was wearing a dress for the first time since Eli had met her. A simple blue thing that matched her eyes. It looks good, she said. It will keep out the rain, mostly. Clara laughed. That beautiful sound that Eli had come to love. Old Tom's trading post needs someone to run it, she said. The Territory Council sent a letter. They want to know if we are interested. Eli turned to look at her. We? If you will have us. Eli did not answer right away. He just looked at this woman who had changed everything, who had saved him when he did not want to be saved, who had given him something to live for when he had been ready to die. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small object, a ring, simple, silver, made by his own hands. I have been carrying this around for weeks, he said quietly. Did not know if I would ever have the courage to ask. Clara's eyes went wide. Eli. Clara Whitmore, Eli said. Will you marry me? For a long moment, Clara did not speak, just stared at the ring with tears in her eyes. Then she smiled. Yes. Eli slipped the ring on her finger, pulled her close, kissed her. The kiss was different this time, not desperate or afraid, just gentle, loving, full of promise. What are you doing? They pulled apart. Lily was standing in the doorway, the wooden rabbit clutched in her hand. Planning a wedding, Clara said. Lily's face lit up. A wedding? Can I wear a dress? A real one? Eli knelt down, looked into those green eyes that had saved his life. You can wear whatever you want, little one. Lily threw her arms around him. Eli held her tight. I love you, Mr. Eli, Lily whispered. Eli closed his eyes, felt the warmth of the child in his arms, the presence of Clara beside him, the peace of the mountains around him. I love you too, he said. And for the first time in 6 years, he meant it. That evening they sat on the porch and watched the sun set. Clara on one side of Eli, Lily on the other. A family, broken but healing, scarred but whole. The ghost of the Rockies had finally found something worth haunting, a home. This content was carefully researched, developed, and manually edited by our team to deliver meaningful stories with valuable life lessons. Every narrative is crafted to entertain, inspire, and empower our audience. We believe that great stories can change lives, and we are committed to bringing you content that matters. Thank you for being part of our community.